Hi guys, my name is Mayana and welcome to Maya Core. Today I am going to be doing a video essay. I don't do many of these, but I've been like absolutely obsessed with Princess Weekes, I think is how you say it, and I wanted to make one of my own. I know Carly from UnCarly made a video like this before where she talked about fan fiction becoming like published books as an art, whereas I am just going to talk about fan fiction, the history of fan fiction. So I'm going to be doing a disclaimer. I don't really do disclaimers like that, but I'm just gonna do one just in case. I don't expect this video to blow up or anything, but you never know, and some people like to get a little feisty in the comments with their like opinions. So I just want to state that like this is just for fun. This is not to shit on fan fiction. I love fan fiction. I write fan fiction of my own. I also want to state that I could be wrong about some of these are things that I've done from my own research, but with that research, these are just things that what I found from other people and things I've known for over the course of years, but you'll never really know if it's the truth or not, because like a lot of these authors literally scrape the earth for their histories. And with that being said, this is also all allegedly. I'm not trying to get sued, okay? Now we're gonna get into the video. So with like fan fiction becoming published books, I do want to take the time to talk about AO3. AO3 stands for Archive of Our Own. I'm just so used to saying AO3 that I forget that it has a full name. So AO3 is a site where you can publish your own fan fiction, but why AO3 is important to this video is because one of the founders of AO3, which is Naomi Novik, is a published author. She wrote Spinning Silver. She wrote one of my favorite series, which is the School of Man series, the first book being Daily Education, which a lot of people can argue that that is Harry Potter fan fiction. But when you say that something is like fan fiction, it's not really considered fan fiction unless it was a fan fiction first and then turned into a book. I mean, you could say that it was inspired by Draco and Harry. A lot of people can argue that Daily Education is like Draco and Harry fan fiction. You can even say Draco and Hermione, whereas I low-key kind of see Draco and Harry a little bit. But whatever you want to say that it is, I can say that Naomi Novik did write fanfiction on AO3. She wrote Dean and Sam Winchester fanfiction. I never saw Supernatural, but like fans call it Wincest. Like I can't lie, that's actually very creative. But also, how often do people write fanfictions like that for it to have its own name? So now we're gonna get into like the history of fan fiction. Like I said, this is all from like my own research. I spent 3 hours doing this research, so I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I just thought that this would be a fun video to film. So it is a common fan rumor that Twilight is fan fiction. Now Twilight somehow is the start of this all. Whether it's a fan fiction, whether it's not, Twilight is going to be included in this video because Twilight is the common enemy here. I love Twilight, but yeah, Twilight is what started everything, okay? So a lot of fans theorize that Twilight was My Chemical Romance fanfiction. It's common knowledge is that it came to her in a dream. Everybody knows that Twilight came to her in a dream. And with that, it was very clear that it was self-insert. Robert Pattinson talks about it in an interview where he says that Stephenie Meyer was like weirdly obsessed with like Edward, and like she thought of herself as Bella and he thought it was like just really weird. I don't know how he's kept his job after that, probably because she was so in love with Edward and like he was what she imagined as Edward. I don't know, that's just an assumption. From what I've researched, like I dug deep, okay, and from what I researched is that it's not My Chemical Romance fan fiction. It's just she was self-insert and it was a dream, but My Chemical Romance did inspire the way that it writes. And like I don't know, I'm not really a My Chemical Romance fan, but I have listened to some of their music, and I guess like when you listen to their music you think of like, I don't know, their music kind of matches the gloominess in Twilight the movies, at least. I mean honestly, and some of the writing in the books. I read the first book, so it kind of, I honestly can see that. And like it did inspire Jacob, but like that's not, it's not like based off of My Chemical Romance or anything. So now we get into the real tea and we're going to talk about Shadowhunter Chronicles. So, Shadowhunter Chronicles is based on Ginny and Draco. A lot of people seem to believe that it's based off of Ginny and Ron, who are siblings in Harry Potter. But she does have a series that is based off Ginny and Ron, and it was called Mortal Instruments. That is not what the Shadowhunter Chronicles is based off. Even though first series in it, her first published series is the Mortal Instruments, I think she just liked the title. But originally Shadowhunter Chronicles was based off of Ginny and Draco, which, like, I don't know, her basing it off Ginny and Ron is very crazy and like disgusting, yes. And then if you really think about it, one of the plot lines in the Shadowhunter Chronicles is that they think they're siblings for a long amount of time. Although that's like they technically don't have incest, there is a scene where I can't remember if she knew they were siblings. I think one of the characters ended up finding that out, that Clary is his sister, and he kisses her even though he knows, but I don't think she knows it. So Sandra Clare is a very strange woman. She's been known to ship Damon and Stefan Salvatore. There's a tweet out there of her saying that she ships them together even though they're siblings. So she is a weirdo. And this is not me trying to like call her out or cancel or anything, because I've read all of her books, I own all of her books. I just wanted to state that out there because I think this is like very interesting. Like, I don't know, it's very nerdy but very interesting. So anyways, back to Shadowhunter Chronicles. So Shadowhunter Chronicles is Ginny and Draco. As I said, it was originally a love triangle between Draco, Hermione, and Ron. And if you really think about the character descriptions of Simon, Clary, and Jace, they're literally like, Simon is very clearly Harry Potter, the glasses, the nerdy, that's very clearly Harry Potter. And then Clary, even though she switched to Ginny, like, you know, red hair, whatever. And then Draco is Jay's, like, brooding, blonde hair, you know. Shadowhunter Chronicles as a whole thing, like, is genuinely Harry Potter fan fiction. Runes, like, runes is very shortly mentioned in Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter books, but like runes play a big part in Shadowhunter Chronicles. I don't remember any of Harry Potter like they draw on your body or anything, but I remember them like having a class of runes. So I feel like she just took that and like made it like into a bigger thing. And also I want to state that if you want to know more about the Harry Potter, like the original fan fiction between Draco, Hermione, and Harry, you should go check out this TikToker. Her name is Mel98.pr. That's where I found out my information from. And she talks about how like it wasn't originally a trilogy and like what the trilogy's name was. It's like a really informative video, because a lot of people think that the Mortal Instruments is based off Ginny and Ron, and that is actually incorrect, even though she does have another series based off of that. But still. Okay, so next we're gonna talk about 50 Shades of Grey, which I feel like this really started because not a lot of people know about the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but 50 Shades of Grey, almost everybody knows about it. I still find some people who are like shocked, but almost everyone knows about this one. So 50 Shades of Grey is a Twilight fanfiction on like fanfiction.net, and like I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Million Dollar Baby, but that should have actually been the one that got published, because I remember reading that when I was way too young, and that one ate down. So it was originally called Master of the Universe by the user Shadow Queen Ice Dragon. I also did the justice of finding the original book cover, so I will share it on the screen. Then I've seen someone state that there are very obvious parallels between Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey, which like I haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey, but like I don't know, based off what I know, like I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of people watch it, and based off that I can actually see the parallels between that and Twilight. It's very obvious, but also I guess to a lot of people it wouldn't be, because it's an AU, which stands for Alternative Universe, and that is basically when it's set in a universe that's different from what it's originally written in. So like in Twilight it's about vampires, werewolves, and all of that, but because it's an AU, so it's set in like the real world. Not all AUs are set in the real world. Like I could write a fan fiction about 50 Shades of Grey and make it about vampires, and that would be AU. That would be crazy. I feel like somebody should do that. And then when it got published, she also changed the names and the location. And then from my research, 50 Shades of Grey got published because it kept getting taken down from fanfiction.net because it was deemed explicit. I don't know how she really got to the publisher though, but like I said, this was all based off my research. So next we're going to talk about Carry On, and Carry On isn't really a fan fiction because, like I stated earlier, I more so want to talk about things that were actually fan fictions first and then turned into real books or published books. But I think Carry On is very interesting. So this is a originally like snippets from a book called Fangirl, which was about these two twin sisters, one named Kat, one named Ren, and everyone loved that book. Like, that was a really popular book, but it was about one specific twin sister. I think it was Ren, and she used to write fan fiction for this series called Simon Snow. And so Simon Snow basically was Harry Potter. And so I don't know why specifically like Rainbow Rowell wrote it, but she ended up writing a series for Simon Snow, and like that is basically inspired by Harry Potter. It's more so like a parody of Harry Potter or like a satire of Harry Potter. And I just found it very interesting. It couldn't really be a fan fiction because, like, I think the only reason why it wasn't a fan fiction is because Rainbow Rowell was already a fully published author. And so I also want to state that Carry On isn't the fan fiction that the main character in Fangirl was writing, nor is it the fake author's book, because I think it was either Fangirl or Carry On. Like, it stated what the original, like what the fake author wrote. Like, it was like Simon Snow and like, you know, with like Harry Potter, whereas with Carry On it's just Carry On. So it's, I don't know, it wasn't the fake author's book, and it's not also the fan fiction. So I technically don't know what it would be in that universe, but I don't know, I'm not really a fan of that series. But anyways, so Simon Snow is obviously Harry Potter and Baz is obviously Draco. And then also what I found similar was that there's this entity that like is basically Simon Snow, like looks like him and I think acts like him, and like I don't know, like he always has dreams about him. It's really similar to Harry Potter. I haven't read the rest of the series, and I only read Carry On years ago. Maybe I should have read it to prepare for this. Next we're gonna get into more interesting things. So after Harry Styles series, it was posted on Wattpad by, I think her username was like Imaginator1D or whatever. But also, stay with me, I feel like it was also 50 Shades of Grey fanfiction, because it's basically, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like 50 Shades set in college or whatever. But yeah, I sort of read it on Wattpad, but like I kind of didn't. I did make a review on it. It's on my other YouTube channel, Mayana Reads, and I also have a video of me ASMR reading The Smut. It's like very funny. I guess you could argue that it's 50 Shades of Grey fan fiction because it's basically for college students who, without all the BDSM and stuff like that, it's basically for college students, whereas 50 Shades of Grey for older moms who like husbands don't do anything but lay on top of them, leave them unsatisfied after. So but yeah, it's flat out Harry Styles fan fiction. Like when it ended up being published, they changed all the names. One Direction members were in the book, but after it was published they end up changing like all of the names. And I'm like, my favorite thing about reading after, because I did not have any fun reading that book. My favorite thing about reading after was trying to figure out who the original character was, because she didn't do a really good job. Like Harry Styles was changed to like Hardin Scott and like all that stuff, kind of similar to what the author for 50 Shades of Grey did, where she like changed names and location. They did the exact same thing. But also like the weird thing about After was that the author was like a grown woman married, whereas I believe Harry Styles was like 19 at the time, and like she was like a grown woman writing about like someone I don't know, it was very weird. Fandom culture and like the way that like older people will stan younger celebrities gets really weird sometimes. So a new trend I've seen is Reylo fanfiction. Ali Hazelwood is the author of The Love Hypothesis, which is like very clearly Reylo fanfiction. I've never even gotten that far in Star Wars, and I looked at that and I was like, people look very familiar. Like if you look at the cover, it literally looks like Reylo, like literally. Yeah, I don't watch Star Wars, but I know that the character dynamics between Reylo is like very weird, but like a lot of people also ride hard for them. Like I've seen people like be like, hey, Reylo's weird, and like people like literally attack that person for saying it. So don't attack me. I don't know anything. I'm just a girl making a video. But yeah, I think you can find some of her work on AO3. Probably not now, but like I'm pretty sure I found some of her work on AO3 when like her novella was coming out, because I wanted to see if all of her writing was like that. Like, you know, like you read her writing and you're like, the first book is like good, and then you read the second one and you're like, is all of her books like this? I went to go try to read some, but I don't remember if I found anything in that. Really like the first book when it came out, and I still do. I know a lot of people, like, once the hype died down, people were like, oh, this book is like really bad. I mean, I haven't reread it, but I had a fun time reading the book when I read it. The issue was that I ended up reading her second book that came out, which was like Love on the Brain, and it felt like the exact same book as The Love Hypothesis. Like, obviously the plotline was a little different and it wasn't fake dating, but like if you want to talk about like character dynamics and like the relationship dynamics, it was like pretty much the same. And honestly, the characters itself like were the exact same characters. And then I also read one of her short story novellas, and it felt like I was once again reading the same relationship dynamics and the same character. So it seems like, I don't know, that really isn't on her like writing fan fiction, because like I know a lot of people who write fan fiction, they write like a bunch of different stories, like a wide range. That's more so on her publishers, because I know I read an article about how she doesn't really know what to write and she just writes whatever tropes her publishers give her, and her publisher's gonna give her tropes based off like whatever's popular on TikTok. But that's how you end up like her writing two fake dating tropes 3 years apart. So they only care about what's hyped up on TikTok. Also, side note, I found a tag on Goodreads that shows you authors who also were Reylos, and there are a lot of authors there. Some of your faves are in there. I don't really know if like, I don't really think their books are Reylo fan fiction, but I think if you look hard enough, you may be able to find the dynamics of Reylo are in their work. And I would think that I want someone to do something on that, because I think that would be interesting. Okay, I just want to wrap this up to say that I honestly won't be surprised if fan fiction to published authors becomes very popular, like even more popular than what it is, because now it's like not really a niche topic, but you don't really have that many examples. Because like I said, you can only, to me you can only say something is fan fiction if it was written as fan fiction first and then turned into a published book, instead of, oh, this is a published book and this clearly is inspired by, because that could be a whole video on its own, honestly. Notice you can also get some of those books turned into your own like physical copies. I've seen people on Instagram make Hermione fan fiction into books. Like they'll like print it into a hardcover, make a dust jacket for it. It's some of the prettiest covers I've seen. Like, I think publishers need to get on contact with those people, because I'm about to read some fan fiction just so I can buy those books, because those are some really pretty books. Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before publishers really actually start reaching out to people, like all the young dudes. I think if publishers wasn't so homophobic, that would have became a book, because it's like one of the most popular fan fictions on AO3 with like, I may be off here, but like 10 million reads. Like, it's very popular. I can definitely see like fan fictions becoming publishers, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, I feel like Kindle Unlimited authors, they like books read like they write fan fiction anyways. So, but also fan fiction, like some fan fictions I've read have been some of the best things I've ever read and like dedicated my life to. Yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.